Good evening and welcome to the webinar. This is Anand Joshi from IIEC, International Institute for Energy Conservation in. We are hosting this webinar on renewable energy integration in buildings in India. This webinar is a part of a project which is supported by Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. We would like to welcome you all and thank you very much for taking the time from your busy schedules to attend this webinar with us. Before starting, I would like to inform you that we will be recording this webinar and the recording will be made available to everyone later. We are using GoToWebinar interface for conducting this session. Your microphone and video cameras will be muted so that we can minimize the disturbance which can happen accidentally. During the webinar, if you have any questions or comment, please share same using the questions or chat options available in the panel at the right hand side of your screen. We'll take the questions at the end of the webinar during the question and answer sessions. Now, I would like to welcome all our speakers. We have in the panel Mr. Anand Shukla, PhD, Senior Thematic Advisor, Swiss Development Coordination Corporation Office, India. Mr. C.K. Verma, he is Chief Engineer at CPWD. Mr. Anand Narwane, Scientist, MNRE. Dr. Dibakar Rakshit, Associate Professor, IIT Delhi. And Mr. Sanjay Dubey, President and Chief Executive Officer, International Institute for Energy Conservation. Thank you all for your busy schedule, for taking time out of a busy schedule and being part of this panel. This webinar is being organized as a part of, as I said earlier, this webinar is being organized as a part of a project which is supported by Swiss Development Corporation, and IIC India is a lead partner which is supporting the SDC for execution of this project along with its other consortium partners, which are Basel Agency for Sustainable Energy, BASE, Environmental Design Solutions Private Limited, EDS, and Meghraj Capital Advisor Private Limited, and APL. The main objective of this project is to design, showcase, implement, and monitor building integrated new and innovative renewable energy technologies for the Indian context. Without taking much time, I would like to invite Dr. Anand Shukla to give a welcome address and introduce the project. Dr. Anand Shukla is working as a Senior Thematic Advisor at Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, Embassy of Switzerland, New Delhi. He is having 24 years of professional experience. Currently, he manages the portfolio of energy projects and is responsible for conceptualization, management, and monitoring of all collaborative projects. Mr. Shukla, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you, Anand. A very good afternoon to all of you. And I think this is a very important stakeholder consultation we are going to have. And I take the opportunity here to welcome all of you. And I welcome our panel speaker, Mr. Verma, Dr. Dibakar Rakshit, and Mr. Nirvane from MNRE. So before I go into the detail, I think some of you, I think there is some voice coming. Before we go into the detail, I think it is important to tell you or to share with you what is SDC, the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. And as Anand mentioned, I work here as a Senior Thematic Advisor. And just to share, SDC has been working in India since last more than 50 years on different thematic areas. And currently, our entire portfolio is focused on the topic of climate change. And within that climate change domain, we have different focus areas. These are like clean energy and energy efficiency, water management, clean air, water and land, agriculture sector, and the risk management. And within these focus areas, we have a number of projects. And the project that we're going to discuss today, it is one of the flagship projects that SDC has been supporting since last more than 1 year. But if I refer to the building sector, in SDC, actually, it's a special interest or weightage given to a particular theme here. And we started almost like 10 years back, focusing more on the energy efficiency in buildings. And the clear understanding was that building is going to be the largest energy consumer. Currently, it may be actually the second largest consumer with 20 to 25 to 26% energy consumption. But most likely, actually, in next 5 to 7 years, it might actually become the largest one. And it is a time actually to work on different aspects of the building. When I say different aspects of the building, SDC focuses or in past focused on the three main topics. On building material, SDC supported a long-term project in the brick sector. Currently, we are focusing on a cement sector, and I think Dr. Dibakar Rakshit probably would know the low carbon cement, the limestone calcined clay cement that we have been working with IIT Delhi. On the building design, we have a project called BEEP. It is what we are discussing. It is part of the BEEP project that is called Building Energy Efficiency Project, and we are working very closely with Ministry of Power in that. And this is the third dimension we have added to bring completeness in our initiative by integrating the renewables into the building sector. And through our initiative, we have showcased already that with different energy efficiency measures, it is possible to save save energy for about 25 to 45%. And of course, it depends on the type of building which I'm referring here. And as per our understanding that if we integrate renewables also into the buildings, we can save up to 70 to 75%. But it can also be the carbon neutral buildings there, because a lot of initiatives have been taken at the global level. So our aim is clearly to integrate renewables into the building, and instead of actually building to reflect as the energy consumer, it becomes the energy generator. So to say the future buildings, I would prefer that word here. So with that understanding, we started this project. Sanjay, if I'm right, I think it was December 2018. And it has a very good combination of different agencies. IIEC is the lead agency here, who is not only actually bringing in their international know-how, but also at the national level, they have good understanding and good network with the partners here. So along with IIC in India, EDS, who prepared the ECBC for the commercial buildings, they are part of this project. And just to mention, through our B project, that project prepared ECBCR for the residential building. I think from that understanding, we thought actually not only just to focus on the technical aspects here of renewables and integrating with the building, but also look at the financing model, because the whole idea is to upscale the whole initiative. And that expertise is coming through BASE, Basel Agency for Sustainable Energy. They are from Switzerland and quite well known actually on their financing model. So with this is the understanding. When we started the project, we thought first to understand which renewable technologies are applicable. Well, as you know already, in the Indian perspective, when we say renewables in buildings, of course, our thought process goes directly into the rooftop solar or solar thermal. But we thought actually not to focus just on solar, but to bring in totality to focus entirely on the renewable. So that's the whole idea, that to look at different type of technologies internationally applied in the building sector, and how those technologies can be customized so that those are suitable in the Indian context. And that's the core part of this initiative. And the whole initiative will demonstrate at least 2 to 3 technologies, if I'm right, Sanjay, here. And with that demonstration, in parallel, we look at the financing models here through BASE. We are in touch with various financing institutions here. And when we demonstrate these technologies, we will monitor the performance of these technologies and prepare some guidelines so that different practitioners, developers, they should also be able to understand how to integrate into the building design, which technology is most suitable in that perspective. So if you look at just to add actually one more dimension here, if we look at the building bylaws, it reflects very in a minuscule way to integrate the renewables. I think this through this project we can elaborate on further prospecting renewables into the building sector. I think this is where I would like to end my welcome address. And once again, I welcome to all of you, to all the panelists, and to all the participants here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla, for the introduction. And now I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Dubey to set the theme for the discussion. Mr. Sanjay Dubey is Chief Executive Officer of IIEC. He has over 32 years, and his dynamic portfolio consists of working on clean energy and climate change related programs supported by international agencies like USAID, ADB, World Bank, UNEP, UNDP, etc. Prior to joining IIC, he has worked as a Chief of Party for Partnership to Advance Clean Energy Development PACE-T Technical Assistance Project of USAID India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anand. And thank you, Anand, for setting up the theme and giving the most required details about the project. And thank you to Mr. Verma, Mr. Rakshit, and Mr. Narwane for joining the panel, and all the participants for being here to listen to all of us and learn about this project and listen to the eminent panelists about their knowledge in the market. We started this project last year with our partners, as Anand mentioned, BASE, EDS, and Megraj. This is a very important project because it's not that the renewable energy is not being used in the new age buildings in India. We're using renewable energy for quite some time, and solar is the most common technology. But the main issue here is that once you talk about integration of renewable energy technologies, then it becomes important that when are you taking the decision about using any technology? Is it at the time of when the building is commissioned, then you are integrating something to replace the use of conventional energy, or at the time of design, or at the time of construction? So this question we're trying to answer through this project, that right from the conceptualization phase, when you conceptualize a building, this should be planned.
Now I'm open now. Hello.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Narwane. We can hear you. Yeah, good. So so this is the right time, the decision making, and then the right kind of a technology is selected, and then how it can be integrated. When the technology is being integrated, then what are the allied requirements, say the business model, the financing, or the viability of the technology, or that how it is interfering with the facade or the design of the building, how the acceptability is there, and is there any limitation in terms of repair and maintenance and other future things. So to showcase this, firstly, the main activity that the project is undertaking is to first identify and shortlist the most popular key technologies which could be have a potential for scalability and also financial viability to be, you know, taken up by the market. So both India and international market are being reviewed, and we have done some good homework in terms of you know, finalizing some of the technologies. The second, as Mr. Anand already mentioned, that, you know, this will be going to a pilot stage, you know, where we are talking to some of the building owners, which are upcoming buildings and or the building going on under in progress, how to integrate it. And also we are analyzing their demand or requirement in terms of any financing or anything needed. Our partner base specifically is helping us in coming up with different business models. We're also talking to lead financing institutions in India to see, you know, what their future plans are in terms of, you know, financing such programs, you know, in India. So this is a very important project, and you know, this is a three-year program, and we have to basically come up with a, you know, key set of technologies which are ready to integrate, and also initiate the demonstration side of the business, where with, you know, coming up with a pilot, one or two pilot buildings, you know. If we go to the next phase, then, you know, this project may have some more dimension, but the first 3 years, this is the main focus of this program. With this, I am not going to take much of the time because Mr. Anand has covered a lot of the details about the project. I would like to give chance to the panelists to bring their perspective from the market, from the public sector, from the private sector, that how this is being taken in as a general in whole in the market in terms of upcoming buildings, and how this project integrates well with the ongoing efforts in the market. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite Ms. Sonia Shukla to introduce our panelist. Ms. Sonia Shukla is working as a senior project manager at IIEC. She has more than a decade of experience in renewable energy, energy efficiency, electric vehicles, and sustainable development. She has worked with several multilateral and donor organizations such as the World Bank, ADB, IFC, GIZ, and other foundations. Sonia, would you take control from now?
Yeah. Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Mr. Dubey and Mr. Shukla, for setting the right context. Now I would like to invite my panelists for a brief discussion on the topic that we are here to discuss today. Before that, I would like to introduce all of my panelists. So I have Mr. C.K. Verma, who is presently working as Chief Engineer Electrical in Central Public Works Department and is looking after contract, specifications and quality assurance of E&M services in CPWD Directorate at New Delhi. He was instrumental in revising CPWD specifications and DSCR to incorporate new technologies, energy efficiency and ECBC provisions. He also developed guidelines for quality assurance of E&M services in CPWD works. He is also associated with policy formulation pertaining to generation of solar energy through building rooftops in central government offices and residences, development of CPWD Green Rating Manual 2019. He also looks after energy efficiency and generation of green energy through rooftop solar plants in central government buildings across the country in ESCO and RESCO mode as part of government policy of sustainable habitat under National Action Plan on Climate Change. He is associated with several government committees on energy efficiency and efficient building designs. We welcome you, sir. Thank you for being with us. Our next panelist is Mr. Anand Narvane, who is a scientist at Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. At the ministry, he has been working on promotion of renewable energy in India. He's been creating conducive atmosphere for utilization of renewable energy by means of policy framework, tying up with developed countries for mutual cooperation and creation of trustworthy framework for investment and promotion of innovation. He's also involved in supporting research and development, monitoring performances, etc. He's also worked in solar, wind energy and hydropower development at the ministry and has participated in efforts towards formulation of a national mission on solar energy. And subsequently, he worked upon scaling up deployment of solar thermal photovoltaic energy devices across the country. He's presently working on development of solar cities and concept of green buildings and introduction of solar energy in buildings. We welcome you, Anand sir. Thank you for being with us. I also have Professor Divakar Rakshit, who is working as Associate Professor at the Center of Energy Studies, IIT Delhi. And he has more than 16 years of experience in thermofluid sciences pertaining to design and optimization of energy systems. His special interest lies in thermofluid studies of solar energy coupled heat exchangers, his, energy conservation in building, solar assisted refrigeration systems, multi-phase flows and emission control system designs. At IIT Delhi, his research has been sponsored by Indo-Trento ITPAR program, which is working on a sustainable grid-free village, Indo-Japan SPARC platform to work in the area of green refrigerants. Besides, he is also involved in a collaborative project with the University of Queensland, Australia, in the area of thermal battery. At IIT Delhi, he developed a laboratory for material characterization. Welcome, Professor Rakshit. I would now like to ask specific questions given the paucity of time that we have today. I would request all of my panelists to give the answers in 10 to 12 minutes of time so that we can finish the webinar on the time. First, I would like to ask Mr. Verma, what are the current practices for RE system installation in public buildings? And are there any increased specific emphasis on integration of RE systems in the building designs? Over to you, sir. Sir, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Now,
No,
are you
now.
able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
sir, we can.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shukla, and Mr. Dubey, Mr. Shukla, and the other two panelists. I would like to answer the question that in public buildings, the beginning was made in 2015 when we started identifying the rooftops of the buildings, because it was a very new subject at that time. And then MNRE guidelines were there, but there were no vendors available to us. Then we searched for the SECI, and MNRE has also guided us, and we achieved quite a lot of solar rooftops in our existing buildings. But then lead was taken from there, and in our buildings which were constructed, there also we have installed the solar rooftops, and now we are doing the maximization like in this newly constructed Supreme Court building. We have installed 1400 kilowatt solar rooftop installations. Our idea was to maximize it. That is, during the construction, we have conceived it, and the guideline was there from the government that maximum solar energy should be tapped. And accordingly, in public buildings, we have started designing the system, solar systems, along with the building construction design. But the drawback which is being felt now, that as we have the codes available for energy efficiency, we do not have the code for the renewable energy. So that is one area where we have to work hard, so that something is provided to the developers or the building owners to how to design the solar installation, what are the different methods of installation, and what are the different ways to maintain them, and the protection, above all the protection, because the solar rooftops, they are mounted on the roof of the buildings, and they are subject to the lightning strike also. So all these things are in the nascent stage, and rightly Mr. Shukla has said that if energy efficiency is to be achieved, then renewable energy is also to be incorporated in the system, because both are complementary and supplementary. So as a matter of fact, we are also providing in our newly constructed buildings the standalone solar street lighting. So I think there the LED bulb is there, and then this standalone panel is there, and that panel is collecting the solar energy in the morning or during the daytime, and then it is supplying during the night time through LED bulb. So that concept has to be enlarged as far as buildings are concerned, and a lot of research is going on. But unfortunately, we have to go a long way in integrating the renewable energies in our public buildings. CPWD is doing a lot in this direction, and we have also installed solar trees at Dandi Memorial. So this is again a very good experience with us. So I think I have answered the question of Ms. Shukla.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, you've hinted for my next question already in the answer. I just wanted to understand what are the specific challenges also for integration of RE technologies in public sector buildings. You've already mentioned that there is no existing RE codes per se, and the guidelines for the solar project installation also needs to be developed. Besides this, if you talk about specifically public sector buildings and institutes, what are the specific challenges that you might have identified during your existing projects and the experience that you have already had?
Yes, I had a lot of experiences from bad to good, from worst to best. The satisfaction remains with us is that we have led this from the beginning. We are the pioneers, one can say. But I can say the challenges which we have faced is right from identifying the buildings, because the building owners or our esteemed clients, they were apprehensive that their roof space will go as a waste. They cannot install the dish antennas and other equipments. So that was one challenge. The roof owners, they were very in the beginning, they were very apprehensive that their roof is unnecessarily wasted, and moreover, there were some buildings which were of where the security was of paramount importance. So there, allowing that vendor to install the solar rooftop and doing the maintenance every on monthly basis was again a challenge, because they were not giving the permission to even inspect the buildings. And so what they did, they did it through the Google Images. But anyway, that challenge was met. Then the second challenge was, the vendors, they had used the best space on the roof and left the other space which was a waste for them, but it was a very useful space for us. And we found that where we have conceived a solar rooftop of 100 kilowatt peak, and they installed only some 20-30 kilowatt. So there has to be some code on that, how to install and how to maximum best utilize the roof space without affecting the generation of the solar plant. So that was a second challenge which we have faced. We have tried to tell them, but somehow their condition was such that the generation has to be maintained, and the derating factor that affected the installation or the capacity of the plant. The third challenge was the maintenance. For maintenance of rooftop solar plants, the cleaning is necessary. Actually, the minimum maintenance is needed, and the cleaning is necessary. So the problem was that of water. So on the roof, there was no water. And now bringing the water from by them was again an exercise which they were not ready to do, vendors. So then somehow we have provided them a RO water. They wanted a clean water for cleaning purposes, and so these were the three basic challenges initially. And later on, now again one more challenge came. That was a net metering through even this NDMC fellows. They were very apprehensive that it will allow the grid instability. So we had to convince them, we had to meet their chief engineer, and then although the net metering policy was there, but they were apprehensive and they were not providing the net metering uh, anyway. But I would appreciate the BACS because they were very ready to provide the net metering. So that was a fourth challenge. Fifth challenge was the installation was also not was in a perfect condition. There are no standards. Basically, the standards are missing. How to the specifications are missing. How to install the solar rooftop plants, because wind is one factor which can take the, as the building height goes up, the wind factor becomes very prominent. So I have seen some of the solar plants. They just kept them on the roof itself and put some pedestal, and not properly they have made a footing and all that. So with the result, this is subjected to the wind pressure, and it may even fly and go into the ground and may cause some accident. So some standards are to be prepared for installation, for proper installation. Then safety standards. I have seen that some people have not even bothered for the lightning strike and have not provided the lightning arrestor specifically for this. And sometimes the gap between the two solar panels has not been maintained, because that is very much essential for movement of the personnel who has to maintain them. So these were the few challenges we have experienced while carrying out this installation work. And then our engineers, they have noted all these things, and while as they are improving now, as um, they are constructing more and more buildings. And another challenge is we have different kinds of roofs also. There is a curved roof in, if you have seen the Dr. Ambedkar Memorial, so it is in the form of a book. So there it was a curved roof, and on the curved roof the solar panel is to be provided, and if it is integrated with the curvature of the roof, then it will be maximum. So some innovations or some more innovative designs of the solar panels are needed. So that is one more challenge. We could not keep them just on the roof as per the design of the roof, but we have to put some structure so that so that the alignment required for them is to be given. So these are few challenges I just want to share with all of you. And the thing which is needed is a code, a standard, or a specification which should cover everything, right from identification of the roof to the installation, as well as maintenance and net metering and all other practices which are best globally. This is what I want to emphasize. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. These are very interesting challenges and observations, and we will definitely we understand the need for having the right kind of codes and standards so that the safety and specifications are maintained. And we will also incorporate and keep these in mind while designing our pilots in the program. Now moving on to our speaker, Mr. Anand Narvane from MNRE. Sir, I have two specific questions from you. The first one is, we know that MNRE a lot of good promotional role in promoting renewable energy technologies in the country. So does MNRE recognizes building integrated renewable energy systems as a potential area for future and new age buildings?
Yes, yes, solar energy. First of all, thank you for considering me to consider the building integrated solar systems are definitely, as you said, your previous speaker said from CPWD, they have a lot of problems of installation of either separate structure has to be installed. Now that separate structure has to be installed, that problem is not only with CPWD, it is everywhere that problem is, can be avoided. If you are building integrated solar systems, they are most welcome, no doubt about that. But one has to work on that. That is what I want to say. We will definitely, and plus for the aesthetic part of the building, for if solar systems separately installation somehow it may come aesthetic part also may come down. Today, you people are thinking that solar energy is acceptable or very attractive. But however, in some in lot of airports also we have installed solar systems. But I have for myself I have some what you say how the pilots will have these solar panels may reflect. So sometimes it may affect his eyesight. So it's like that. Challenges are there, but if, as our CPWD representative has very well said, there are so many problems. You have taken down those problems. In view of that, building integrated solar panels are very they are attractive. I think in Pune University, I have seen one. They have done one some small hut type of solar house where it was good initiative. That is. And
Right,
as
sir.
regard to
Sir,
the system installed in the Supreme Court, sir, whether if can you perhaps maybe I would request you whatever the energy generation from the solar system, and if we can communicate to these black coat lawyers, it will be better. So what I wanted to say in this in any of your buildings, if you have some small communication, yes, this solar system, you have taken one good initiative. I mean, we are hats off to you. Even on metro, so many people are saying from the metro, these solar panels are very much visible. And one child and mother in the train, they said, yes, ये solar से सब नीचे बिजली जा रही है. So like that. So if you can have some this much percent of solar energy, solar energy fulfills your energy requirement. So I will be such information sharing in displaying in same building. It may be good. So building
yeah,
integration is very good. Now another aspect was our if you have buildings, if you say cold storage buildings, that comes onto also a building. Now Prime Minister has given us big task of installation of cold storages, small also what from all the sections. So if you can think that is a good potential sites, yes, it is welcome.
right, sir. Sir, so apart from solar, so our project is also looking at other technologies which are capable
I could
of
not
going.
see while the time connectivity that was issue. What is your project in small words you can say? So then
Sir, so this is a project supported by SDC, wherein we are trying to integrate RE technologies into the building, trying to understand what are the potential technologies that can go into the building, apart from solar rooftop, which is a widely commercialized and utilized technology as of now. And this project also looks at internationally available technologies that can be brought into India. So we have shortlisted a few technologies which we are trying to pilot, and these technologies include solar rooftop solutions, small wind micro wind solutions, integrated solution, the smaller solar hybrid home systems, even the piezoelectric tiles which generate electricity by stepping on them, biomass systems, then even the
Building away.
fuel cell. Sorry, sir.
Okay, carry on.
And then fuel cell RE based fuel cell solutions which are available internationally. So these are a few technologies that we were looking at. So the project is actually expanding the scope of RE beyond solar rooftop, and hence we were trying to understand what is the potential of integration of these kind of technologies in India, and if we have to do, what are the challenges anticipated and what are the policies that can help in promoting these kind of projects.
See, let's what to say, policy-wise, under research and development, we have priority areas. We have defined priority areas, what kind of technologies we are going to encourage. So go through our research R&D policy. There we will find out many sectors we perhaps have we have mentioned. And if not, if you have something more than that, then come to ministry. I mean, that can be worked out. I mean, this new technology, science-oriented ministry, and they can accommodate new concepts. What you are saying, and demonstrate. You can demonstrate this. So, what is required?
Right,
Is our priority area. Each we have mentioned, like fuel cell. You are saying, then biomass projects. So those priorities are areas we have, say, hydrogen technology also you said or something. No, those specific areas are there. So those projects straight away you can come and say this is our research projects, and we used to do it, and then take say ministry's approval or some other whatever you want is in what form. Yes, these projects we are taking trial, because these are categorized as priority projects. That can I mean, ministry will definitely welcome this.
Thank you so much, sir. That is an interesting and lucrative invitation for us. We will definitely get back to you once we finalize the projects and the technology that we want to integrate. Next, I would like to invite Professor Rakshit. He has a small presentation for us, and I would like him to give the presentation and specifically focusing on a few questions that we would like to ask him. I would specifically like him to brief us about the technologies and the ongoing research on the systems that are available for integration in building optimization, even IoT-based technologies, storage technologies, or peer-to-peer energy platforms and exchange new technologies that are coming up. Apart from this, if you can also guide us on what are the future and potential technologies which are right now under R&D stage, and which in your opinion have the potential for scaling up in future. Over to you, Professor Rakshit.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia, for the details which you are looking for from my side. So what I can see here is that the Energy Conservation Act, which came around 2000, and before that it was not sensitized to that extent, where India was looking to correlate the requirement of energy with the GDP of our country. So eventually, once we marched into the new century, we started pondering that how these things can affect overall GDP of our country. And then the ECBC came, and eventually all other bylaws related things came into existence. And then we started seeing that how buildings can be also means useful for conserving energy. Means in a way I can say that buildings can be treated as a living system which is also participating in conserving energy. Now there are various ways through which we can do it, but I will discuss the two. One is the passive way through which we have done some work in India, and another one is the active way through which we can integrate renewable system in a building. Now, coming to the passive way, this is a very I will not say very old idea, but it is prevalent from long time throughout the world. But when it comes to India, it has not been explored in any way. So it is more like the old wine in the new bottle, where we are trying to explore the utilization of energy storage systems within the building, so that it can help us to conserve energy, or it can help us to make the system consume less energy, and maybe subsequently it can help us to generate energy also. So coming to this point, there is a concept which is known as utilization of phase change material in the building. So this is actually one of the passive features. Means we know that in IIT Delhi there is a project on green cement. So similar to that, we can also look for how phase change material can be included inside building materials. Like it can be the concrete, when you are mixing the cement and the sand, if phase change material can be mixed with it, how it can be incorporated in the building. Or if you are planning to have some sort of bricks which can macro encapsulate the phase change material, if we can cassette the phase change material inside the bricks, then how it can help us to maintain the thermal comfort within the room without actually utilizing the air conditioning. So this is one of the research avenues in which my team is working. But let me, as I told, that this phase change materials are being utilized from long time, but in the perspective of means like for US or for Canada, for the Western countries, where it is not for maintaining the building at lower temperature. It was for maintaining the building at a higher temperature as compared to that of the external environment. But when we came to India, that same technology, if we are trying to find out, it is actually to maintain the building at a lower temperature in contrast to that what is there outside. So there was a difference, and we tried to explore that difference, and then tried to find out what are the various potential phase change materials which can be utilized in the building. So with that, I think these all slides I just want to skip, and I will not go. This is more like means on the technicalities, which I don't want to go into details. Just we can say that a phase change material can help us to maintain the room at its comfort temperature if required, without actually having an air conditioner, an active air conditioner being running in that room. So you can see that what are the various, in this slide, what are the various ways through which we can station the phase change material. It can be stationed in the facade, like it can be there in the walls and the roofs, but there are challenges with it. And as I was telling, there were not a proper research done on the utilization of phase change material from tropical climatic conditions viewpoint. Like if you are attempting to use phase change material in the building walls of India, then there were no such research being done. So things were there, phase change materials may be commercially available, but which is the right phase change material? As we know that in India we have 6 climatic zones, 5 prominently, but each climatic zone is having its own salient feature. So is one commercially available phase change material which is good for Delhi, will it be good for somewhere in Rajasthan, in Jodhpur? Is the phase change material which is good for Kanpur, will it be good for somewhere if you are going to say Siachen Glacier or Kargil? So that sort of material characterization or mapping of the phase change material in contrast to that of the requirement at a particular climatic zone was not there for Indian climatic conditions. So that was the first attempt with which we started. So here I just want to say that how this various building thermal loads are responsible to increase the temperature of the control volume or the room. So you can see there are various ways. I don't want to go into details about the sun geometry and all. So these are the various climatic conditions which we are having in India according to Minari. So the first thing which we did here is to map all the commercially available phase change material with the requirement of a particular climatic zone. As I was telling, for Delhi it will be different. If you are going to Jodhpur or Jaipur, it will be different. So we took all sorts of phase change material which are commercially available, even which are in the state of getting developed commercially in the lab scale. So those all phase change material we took, and on the basis of their thermophysical properties, the most important thermophysical property of any phase change material, it is heat storage capacity. So on the basis of its heat storage capacity and on the basis of how it will be releasing the energy, that is thermal conductivity, we mapped all the phase change material on the basis of the average temperature of that particular station where it is to be stationed. And that way for that we required a bit of study of how the sun earth angles are being varied when we are going from one station to another, and then we tested it for the 4 extreme cases, like the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices, to find out for each phase change material which station will be prominent. So this we have named as mapping. This I don't want to go into more details of it. This is all technical. This is an interesting slide which will show you that how for all the prominent climatic zones of India, the commercially available phase change materials are being sieved out to the particular requirement of that particular station. So in this is just on the basis of the melting point, because that only governs how the phase change material can store energy and release energy according to its suitability. So this one we have done, and then the next one, after finding out which phase change material are good for Delhi, so we attempted to macro encapsulate those phase change materials. We cassetted them in those GI sheet boxes, and we slotted them inside the brick, and then we tried to test them in the extreme summer of Delhi for 2 consecutive seasons, 2 consecutive summers, 2 consecutive years, and then we tried to attempt to see that really it is making any difference when we are trying to utilize this macro encapsulated phase change material in the bricks for Delhi summer. And there were a lot of interesting observations which we found, that it makes a lot of temperature dip if we are having this macro encapsulated phase change material in the bricks. And these are 2 phase change materials which we are pinpointed for Delhi's climatic condition. These are the 2 one, Icosan and OM35. These are the broad conclusions. I will just take the bold one. The reduction in the temperature of around 10 degrees centigrade, it is the most extreme one which we have picked out in temperature fluctuation when we are having macro encapsulated phase change material in the bricks. So and then an inside temperature reduction of about from 4.5 degrees centigrade to 7 degrees centigrade during the peak hours. And if you want to find out like what sort of heat gain has been reduced, so it is maximum of 12% heat gain has been reduced with these 2 earmark phase change materials, that Icosan and OM. Next is the utilization of big data, or the information which we are having for a commercially available building. So if we take, say, Delhi, all the commercial buildings, if we can get the information about their HVAC load and how the building is performing over a period of 365 days, then we have developed an AI based model where we can say that what sort of retrofitting can be obtained in that building so that we can have the maximum available electricity saving without going for any active air conditioning. So we have taken a layer of a phase change material, again for Delhi, because we are stationed in Delhi. We have taken a particular layer of phase change material and a layer of insulation which can be retrofitted on the facade, say on the roof and on the wall, and then we tried to find out what should be the location of those two means layers, the phase change material as well as the insulation, and even the variability in the thickness. If we are utilizing it in Delhi, what should be the thickness of this two, so that it will be directly impacting on your electricity consumption during peak summer again, because most of the time we speak about summers in Delhi. For that we have developed a GA code which is quite unique as compared to what is available on the MATLAB and all other software. So we have developed a GA code, and then we have taken all the commercially available fiction material and the insulations which are generally market available, and then try to find out if we are putting it in the different directions of the walls and on the roof, how the electricity consumption can be reduced. So the best possible combination of the insulation was polystyrene with the phase change material. This is an inorganic hydrated salt, calcium chloride hexahydrate. So if we are using this in tandem, in combination, and in Delhi's climatic condition, with the placement of concrete, phase change material concrete, and then the insulation, that is the polystyrene, followed by concrete, we can have an electricity saving of around 8.8 kilowatt hour per day for the houses which are being developed for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So if you can see that now we are still in the process of developing new houses through this PMAY, and if this type of incorporation of the insulation and phase change materials are there for these new houses, then there can be a huge amount of electricity savings by utilization of this. Second thing which I want to say, that the active type of renewable integration which we have developed for a project, India Trento project, ITPAR project. So for that we have taken a school in remote of Roorkee, like it is in a village, and that school we have earmarked to utilize the solar energy for cooking the midday meal, and at the same time we wanted to provide cooling for the one of the staff rooms over there, and then provide chilling for the potatoes and other perishables which are being stored through a cold storage, and it is entirely grid free. We don't have any dependence on electricity. So this was a kind of a poly generation system where we have utilized solar thermal to exemplify the utilization of renewable energy. So this is the system. So basically we have solar. I will show the real pictures also. So we have a solar collector system, and we have a thermal energy storage system, the hot water which is being stored over here, and this hot water is being utilized to provide the chilling through a vapor adsorption technology, and at the same time this hot water is being utilized to provide the steam required for cooking the rice and the rajma for the midday meals. And means this is the first phase of the project. We have started with our second stage of the project through Department of Science and Technology, GOI. In that we are attempting to utilize the chilling provided by the vapor adsorption technology, not only for cooling the room but also for storing the perishables, and if you can name some of the vaccines which are to be stored for a long time without having any sort of intervention from the grid. So this is a poly generation system which I wanted to exemplify. So this is the vapor adsorption chiller system which is being installed in Roorkee, the village which is there in the school. These are the parabolic concentrators which we have utilized for storing the for generating the hot water and storing it into this thermal energy storage system. Because you can see that by utilizing hot water we are generating coolness, we are generating the air conditioning system inside the room, and at the same time by utilizing hot water we are cooking the food for the midday meal. These are the pictures where we are showing that we are cooking rice and rajma. So I think these are more on the technical side, which I don't think This is the second one where we are attempting to utilize this in tandem, not separately. The first one was we were utilizing it separately for cooking and for cooling, but now we attempted it to make it a part of the same system. So this is not renewable. This is for those days where we will be not having solar. So in that case, we can use the wood or any sort of biomass which can be burnt to produce the hot water, which can again be utilized for cooling as well as for cooking food for the midday meal. So I think I will end my presentation over here, and then if there are more questions regarding the integration of renewable systems through to buildings, I will be happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Rakshit. This was a very detailed presentation and very interesting technologies and which hold very good potential for future. I would like to ask Anand to take a few questions quickly because we have already kind of exceeded the limit for the webinar. But if we can take a few questions quickly, we will try to answer some questions here. And later also, if we have some questions, we will reply to the attendees separately.
Thank you, Sonia. I see that we have already passed allocated time. I will just check a few questions that we can take. If I may ask one of the question to Mr. C.K. Verma. Mr. Verma, can you share any experience that you have come across when you have installed any technology apart from solar in any buildings? Because mostly people say that there is solar PV can be installed, but the other technologies are really difficult.
I think we have done it, but not on a big scale. The one is windmill. That is medium-sized windmill we have installed in Rashtrapati Bhavan. But the sad part is the birds and all, they come into contact and lose their lives. So that is one thing. Another thing is this geothermal that we have used in geothermal energy that we have utilized in Indira Paryavaran Bhavan, but its validation is to be done to see its efficacy. Third is this lot of compost. I mean, we have installed in the buildings the kitchen waste going into the converter and converting it into a compost. But then again, it has not taken off very well because if it is properly planned and if the kitchen waste is sufficient, and other thing is there should not be any, I mean, it should be taken on a constant basis by the consumers, or there should be some way of taking it from the machine. Then only these things are very useful. Another thing is we have also tried the ATMs, the plastic ATMs at some of the places. But then again, due to lack of advertisers, it could not take off. I mean, this of course is not renewable energy, but at least part of something. I mean, under Swachh Bharat mission. So thing is, what I'm just trying to say is all these technologies they want to take off, but for the proper support, still we are not able to launch them properly, or maybe they have been done on a mini scale basis. So the need is to again tap these resources on a big way, so that people can be benefited largely. and the building owners can also derive the satisfaction that look, we have done something for the nation, and we are the participants in the nation building. This is what I'm trying to put up at this stage, and but I am hopeful that as the technologies are growing very fast, evolving very fast, the days are not far away when all other renewable technologies will be better integrated into these into the building, and we can take full advantage of them. One more thing I would like to just mention at this stage, that I was just looking at some video of the Cochin airport, and there what they have done is they have grown some vegetables between the spaces or below the spaces of the those solar panels, and those vegetables they are selling it to the to their own people, to the people who are um, just going out of the airport. So this is one good combination of the technologies that I look for. I mean, if these it has got a very vast potential. See, and what they have done is they have not used this chemicals while washing these solar panels. So that water has gone down into the soil below, and they have done this experiment very beautifully. I mean, I appreciate, and these kinds of things, these should be, I mean, promoted, so that I mean, there can be a lot of utilization of the limited resources that we have. So this is all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have one more question. Maybe it is directed to Dr. Rakshit. Say that renewable energy generation is one thing. Are there any technologies which we are working on which can help the effective utilization of that renewable energy? Because it is not continuous energy generation. It is intermittent generation of energy.
Yeah, so the best way to store it, there are two ways. Means you store the electrical energy, whatever you are generating it, in batteries, electrical batteries, and another one is to store it as thermal batteries. So being a mechanical engineer, I will say that it is always wise to store low grade energy as compared to that of the high grade energy. So if you are saying that if we want to cater to the requirement of the mismatch when the energy is available and when it is required, so thermal batteries are very lucrative means to store the thermal energy and utilize it during the actual requirement. And see, it is not only for storing it in a way when it is getting generated and then getting utilized in some other time. There can be some sort of spillage, like the amount of energy which is being utilized and the amount of energy which is getting wasted. So there is a term which is known as waste heat recovery. So means in parallel to that thought process, if we can somehow store the electrical energy which is coming out as a spillage in the form of thermal energy, then also it is a very good option. And in fact, means there are technologies which can store thermal energy for big time, and we are working with University of Queensland in this direction. And again, when it comes to thermal energy storage, it depends on the quality of energy which is being stored, like the temperature at which the energy is being stored. Is it the energy which is stored at say 500 or 700 degrees centigrade, or is it the energy which is being stored at say 80 degrees centigrade, or say mid temperature like 150 200 degrees centigrade? So depending on the means availability of this thermal energy, you can store it in different ways and then utilize it means I'm not saying that I'm not promoting electrical storage, electrical energy storage system like the batteries, but I would say that it is always possible to store energy in form of the low grade energy, which is the thermal energy systems. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With this last question, we have come to the end of this webinar. I would like to thank you all for the participation. If you have any more comments, feedback, or suggestions, please feel free to contact us. I would like to thank my panelists now. Thank you, Dr. Rakshit. Thank you, Mr. C.K. Verma. Thank you, Anand Shukla ji. Thank you, Sanjay Dubey sir. And thank you, Anand Narwane ji, for connecting to us.